Well, today I've been asked to speak about working by referral and by building a coterie of great realtors, not only across the state of California, but across the country, so that I can refer to them and they can refer to me. So I'm just kind of taking the experience that I've had over the years and just passing along to you what I have learned, what works and what doesn't. What I have learned early on is that there are two ways to run our real estate business. We can either do our real estate transactionally or we can do it relationally. And we all like a good transaction. We all like the paycheck at the end of a good transaction. You find a buyer, you find them a house, you close the escrow, you get paid, all good. You find a seller, you list their house, you close the escrow, you get paid, all good. But when the transaction's over, if we don't build that into a relational business from there on out, we're really losing the opportunity to build relationship with that buyer and that buyer's family and that buyer's referrals and friends for years to come. So what I have found is that the sweet spot in our real estate business is being the family realtor. And if you think about it, almost all of us have got family professionals that we really rely on. Maybe you've got the family doc, or you've got the family accountant, or you've got the family plumber, or ladies, maybe you've got the family hairstylist. And you wouldn't go to anybody else but that family professional that has done right by you over the years, and you go to them for almost anything that is related to what they do. I don't know what it was for you gals, but I followed my family hairdresser all the way to a backyard in Stanton to get my hair done in the middle of COVID because I wasn't going to go to somebody brand new. So we want to be able to build that level of trust with our buyers so that we're in that sweet spot for long term in this career beyond the first few paychecks that put food with our meals. I didn't really come across the thought of all of this until I reflected back on my career because I've been doing this for 40 years. But I started out as a 24-year-old unemployed school teacher who kind of looked like she was 18. And I remember holding my first open house, and I was so proud of myself. I had open house signs and I'd advertised it, the door was open. And one of the first people that walked in was some executive type, and he asked if my mother was home. And that just, I mean, that's a real self-esteem builder if I've ever heard of one. And then I was told by my broker, well, you need to go knock on doors and tell people you sell real estate. So the first week or so I knock on doors, I get this 42-story condo, 45-year-old guy at the front door, and he shouts upstairs, "Hey honey, your friend's downstairs." And I'm thinking, no, I'm a realtor. So it was at that point that I decided, I put a stake in the ground. I decided that I was not gonna work with anybody old. I was only gonna work with people that I could relate to, and I was not gonna trust anybody over 30. So I took on a neighborhood of condominiums where almost everybody was my age, new young professionals, and I was one step ahead of them. So it felt very safe and secure to work with those people. And over that time period, I sold over 400 properties in those condos over like a 20-year period, bada bing, bada bing, bada bing. But what I didn't realize is that when I started working with them, I became their family realtor over years. They moved up into a single-story house. They had a baby and they needed a 4th bedroom. They got a job promotion and they bought a pool home. They got divorced and they had to sell their home. They got old and turned 55 and moved into Costa del Sol or Palmilla or Laguna Woods, which are over 55 communities. Now they are inheriting people's properties, and I'm helping them with estate sales when they inherit them from their parents. And I counted the other day, I think it's a little bit more than 12, I've actually been told by some of my clients that they have put my business card in their will and their little family trust, telling their kids when the time comes to sell their house, call Karen with an arrow to the point of
that's awesome.
So that's again, where you just kind of build this family realtor relationship. I say all of this because I think we're coming into a season where a big wave is happening and people are moving out of California. They're moving out of expensive areas and congested areas, and they're moving into more rural areas. And they're doing this for a variety of reasons, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But I think we have an opportunity to be not only the family realtor, but we have the opportunity to transition them, if we do it right, to another family realtor to carry on what our legacy when they move someplace else. And so we want to be able to take care of them, not only in this transaction, but in the next. And if you do the dollars and cents in the math, you get the opportunity to list their home, and you get the 25% referral fee on the other end. And when that person does all that work, you do the connectivity, and it's 1.25 instead of 1 every time you're working with the same client. So it's something to constantly think about when you're having conversation with them. Because the trend is very clear. People are moving out of California I've kind of figured it out finally. I've done a lot of research, and a lot of other realtors that I work with up and down the state have done research, and it kind of falls into 10 categories as to why people are moving. But and so when we have conversations with our clients, it's very easy to extract that need for a service someplace else just within the conversation. Why are you moving? Where are you moving to? I mean, that's really about it. And you have the opportunity to, they'll spill their guts, they'll tell you what's going on, they'll trust you to share to hear all of this information, and then you can, with your wisdom, connect them with the right people. I'm reminded of a paragraph from my pastor. We go to Saddleback Church, big mega church, and our pastor wrote a book on church growth in 1995, and it was like how to get a lot of people to come to your church and grow your database, grow your big church database, right? Well, same, real estate database, some principles just don't change. And in it, he wrote this. He said, surfing is the art of riding waves that God builds. God makes the waves, surfers just ride them. No surfer tries to create the waves. If the waves aren't there, they just don't surf that day. On the other hand, when surfers see a good wave, they make the most of it, even if that means surfing in the middle of the storm. And we're currently in a wave where people are moving out of California. So I think it's time for us to be able to surf that wave. I think as it's up there are 10 reasons we have found that people are moving out of California. And I'd be just really curious in this room what you may have heard. I hear I can retire and take my nest egg and buy a home free and clear someplace else. Anybody else heard that?
Yep.
Yep. Oh yeah, I heard yep in the room. Where you might move and take your equity and move someplace else? Where have you heard that going to?
There's some Texas, Oregon, Seattle. I mean, a lot of
Texas,
Idaho,
Arizona.
Yes. Moving to Idaho. Yep.
Okay. All
and
right.
Arizona.
Okay, Texas, Idaho, Arizona. All right,
Tennessee.
very good. So see, I mean, it's people, if you just say, gosh, when you retire, where are you planning on retiring? I mean, you look at anybody with some wrinkles, right? And you've got an opportunity to be able to ask them when they're gonna retire. I mean, it comes up in conversation. You can talk about your own wrinkles or your mother's wrinkles in your case. But it's an opportunity to be able to ask, what are you gonna do when you retire? And that question comes up, what, I can take my equity from here and I can go buy something without a mortgage someplace else. State income tax and state sales tax is different in different states. You look at every state and they're all taxed differently, and nobody wants to pay any more income tax than they have to. So people are looking at the sales tax, the property taxes, all the rest of the taxation that happens in different states, and it affects their decision making now and in the future. The cost of living will be less expensive in terms of gas or groceries or utilities. We were in Laughlin a few years ago. I don't know about the rest of you, I hate Laughlin, but my husband had this car show in Laughlin. I was a good wife and I went. But is it Arizona or Nevada? I think it's Arizona that's on the other side. You go down one part of the highway and it's California, and the other part of the highway was Arizona. And gas was like $2.32 versus like $3.55. In California, it was like $2.32 in Arizona. So of course we gassed up in Arizona and we came back. So I think cost of living for almost everything can be cheaper in other places. Urban dwellers want a yard and a place to be able to spread out. We've got telecommuting. I think telecommuting is allowing people, businesses have figured out, employers have figured out, and employees have figured out that the job can get done out of your house, and that house can be anywhere. And so telecommuting, for the first time since March with this whole COVID shutdown, people are practicing the opportunity to telecommute, and it's working for both sides. For that reason, people are thinking, why would I stay in my little 2-bedroom or my 3-bedroom little house that I'm feeling like I'm, exploding from, when I can go get a nice big 4-bedroom in Idaho or Arizona or any one of these places, and I can still be logged onto my computer and I can get my job done. I think what we're seeing, I'm hearing from San Francisco that a lot of people are moving to Sacramento area. and they're maybe driving in once a week for a weekly or bi-weekly meeting, and then after that they're able to work out of their house. So I think telecommuting is forcing people to rethink, where can I live? People want to be able to spend more time with a shorter commute. They want to live with less hustle and bustle. A lot of times they want to be able to be closer to their kids or their grandkids. And here's the interesting thing is I'm experiencing it right now. I have some clients of mine, I'm entering into the 40th transaction for this family.
Oh, wow.
Now, I remember Angie and Tony Lanero. They came into my Century 21 office. I sold their little rental property back in, I think it must have been 82 or 83. A year later, Angie comes into my office and she says, this is back in the day when you could buy a lot for $30,000. She goes, I've got $30,000 and 3 adult sons in my house, what can you do for me? so with FHA financing, we got all 3 of them a condo. But what did they do? They got married, they got promotions, they moved, her sister came back, she followed her sister to Apple Valley, she came back from Apple Valley, they refer their friends, and now, and I think this is indicative of what we're seeing with this quote unquote great migration, Angie and Tony's grandson is now 35 years old. He works for Cox Communication, and it's kind of expensive to put down your roots with the wife and the 2 babies here in California. So they moved to Chandler, Arizona. I referred them to a realtor in Chandler, which is outside of Phoenix. Mom and dad, who were in their 60s, just couldn't stand being away from the little itty bitty grandkids. Mom now was able to telecommute because of COVID, thank you very much, that was the benefit there. So they are moving from Rancho Santa Margarita, and they are buying a house in Chandler from my friend Rachel, who I referred them to. And now mom and dad, the great grandparents, I have their little condo listed in Laguna Woods, and they're gonna move next to their son, daughter-in-law, grandkids, and great-grandkids.
Wow.
And they're gonna buy something from my friend Rachel in Chandler. So I look at this as I added it up over all these years I've been doing this, is my 40th transaction with these people. And it's starting because the 35-year-olds are trying to put down roots someplace, and they can't afford it in California, well, except unless you're Corey. They can't afford to be able to put down roots here in California. And so they are moving out of state, and the moms and dads, as they're retiring, are moving as well. So I think, and then lastly, you can't help it, but politically, people are mad at our state politics. It's very, oh, look at you, I just knew it. I knew I was gonna get you to nod your head, Doug. But I mean, it used to be, bless your heart, it used to be if you wanted to move to Montana or Idaho, you took your plethora of guns, your deer skinning outfit, and and your canned goods, and you moved to Montana or Idaho. Now, normal people like you, who are politically more conservative, are really ramped up over our liberal politics here. And you just get them to talk about that, and man, they'll let you know exactly what they feel and why they might want to make a move. So I think it is a matter of realizing that this wave is taking place, and if we don't if we don't lean into it, we're not going to be prepared to take advantage of it. So I think what I really want to be able to do here is look at how we can perform in both categories, how we can help our clients here. I'm sure everybody here has been trained very well how to list a house and how to get it sold, so that's not today's topic. But I think today's topic is just to be able to put you into the mindset of thinking, how can I be able to help transition that family to someplace else where I can refer that family to someone else. And sometimes it's a 1 to 3 year plan. People just don't come in typically one day and say, I want to move to Idaho, I'm bad at Gavin Newsom, right? But they start planning, they start thinking to themselves, well, okay, I could retire here, my wife could start talking to the boss about telecommuting, etc., and they start making their plans, and you want to be there during the planning stage. So first, it's establishing a good referral network across the state and across the country, and then second of all is communicating the fact that you have that network to your clients so that you are laying that groundwork early on. So when I talk about establishing a good referral network, it kind of begins with the end in mind, and that is creating I start out by letting other realtors that I come across in other parts of the country know what it is, where it is that I serve. So I've got a little map up there somewhere up on PowerPoint. But basically, it's a map that there we go. It's a map that I got created. I had a little graphic artist do it. And it spells out every little city that I serve. And I for me, I'm South Orange County girl. I know a lot of you guys go out to North Orange County, etc., but I'm the South Orange County girl. But what I find is that if another agent wants to go ahead and refer me, and their client, oh man, they know the difference between Rancho Mission Viejo and Rancho Santa Margarita. They know the difference between Lake Forest and Ladera Ranch. I mean, we all just kind of know, like, you know, other people, the agent probably knows Laguna Beach and San Clemente and Irvine, maybe that's all they know. But if you spell out everything that you serve, these go out anytime I meet with a realtor that's outside of my area that I work. I always write them a nice note, tell them it was thank you for meeting with me. I look forward to the opportunity to refer you, and this is the area that I serve. So if you want to be able to refer me, your clients, and you're telling me you like me and you trust me, then these are the cities that I serve, please refer. So that, I've got probably 1,000 of those, and I use those all the time in my personal notes that go to realtors.
Do you have it made on a little card or something?
Mm-hmm. It's a card about the size. I have personal notes that are, I don't know what that size? 4 by 6, there you go, right. And then I make the note card, that card the same. So that anytime I send out a personal note to, you know, whenever I need to, that goes inside of it. So my clients, so that people know. I've been kind of blessed over the years. I belong to Buffini and Company. It's a coaching organization, kind of like a Mike Ferry type thing, except much better in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's all based on building relationships. So I have, and I feel like I'm just saying something so old-fashioned because it's pre-March of this year, but I used to go to workshops that took place 4 or 5 times a year across the country. And when I would go to those workshops, not only would I gain the information from the workshop, but I always made it a point to network with other agents in those areas. So I found that, you know, some people would do broad networking. I was one guy in Laguna Niguel, bless his heart. He must have given a back scratcher to everybody that walked in the door. There must have been 2,000 people at this event. And I mean, you know, you can't be remembered that way. But I always made it a point that every time when I went to an event, if I found 10 new people, that was my goal, 5 the first day, 5 the second day, that I would, that was my goal, to be able to make new relationships. And I broke bread with people. So maybe the first day I would meet 5 new people. The second day I would go ahead and take them to lunch. And we did it was always just an opportunity to network, so people paid for their own lunch. I basically just made the reservation, made sure the table was ready, those kinds of things. Didn't cost me anything besides my own lunch. But it was an opportunity. Then maybe I would go back to that same area. I decided within the first 4 or 5 years that I was gonna have absolutely every city in California covered. I didn't care if it was Oakdale or Clovis I was gonna make sure that it was all covered because my clients are going everywhere. So then I got to the point where I was doing 10-person lunches. I would go to these events. I would do a 10-person lunch one day, a 10-person lunch the other day, and a 10-person dinner. So basically I was the straw that stirred the drink for 30 people at every one of those events. And then I got them to know each other. So then I invited them to the lunch, and then I networked with the lunch. People were standing in line to go to my lunches because they all were just dying to go network with people. I would write them a thank you note for showing up to my lunch. I would include the business card that told all the places that I served. I would ask them to send me a list of places that they served, etc. And then quarterly, I would either email them or quarterly I would email them. Once or twice a year I would call them and just, again, piggyback on that relationship. So within the first 5 years, I had basically all of California covered, and then I have just added on areas that I felt like my clients were going, except now they're all going in the West. So I didn't have Idaho 5 years ago. I wouldn't have even bothered to have lunch with someone from Idaho or Montana, and now it's like, oh, you're from Idaho? Great, can you have lunch with me? So that's kind of how I built that group that I could refer to, because I know a lot of you will ask me, do you have somebody in somewhere? And I know, I think it's probably easy for you to be able to say, well, Karen, that worked for you. Number one, it was pre-March, before COVID, before you could go eat in a restaurant with somebody. And it was also when there were major, events going on. So I thought about it. I thought, okay, so what would be a relevant way to do that in September of 2020? And if you think about it, if you asked any of your clients where were you originally, where did you live before you lived in South Orange County? They'll tell you. And then, do you have family that lives outside of South Orange County? They'll tell you. Did you have a good realtor when you sold your house before you moved to South Orange County? Oh yeah, I just love Susie, you know, so-and-so from wherever. Or yeah, my parents just recently moved to Idaho and they used blah blah and they were referred to that person by somebody else. You can easily reach out to that person. I'm told by my client that they used you 5 years ago, they loved you. I'd like to build a relationship and get to know you. I'd like to spend a little bit of time over the phone, over Zoom. I'll send you a Starbucks $5 coffee card. We can have coffee together over Zoom. And let's get to know each other. And if it clicks, I can refer to you and you can refer to me. And then you can ask that person, who do you refer one area over that you don't cover? For instance, Ruth, I think I referred you to my friend Brian, who works in Portland, Oregon. Love Brian, he works in Portland. He doesn't work in Bend or Ashland or Medford or Salem or any of the rest of those places in Oregon I hear about. So why not get your Brian in Oregon, and why don't you see who he uses in Bend and maybe who he uses in Ashland? Send out 3 $5 Starbucks gift certificates, be the straw that stirs the Zoom drink, and build a little 45-minute talk, get to know each other. Follow it up with a phone call, follow it up with an email, a little bit something about our area. And then let those people know that you are gonna go ahead and market them to your clients. I mean, believe me, they all like that. And if you think about it, more referrals probably are gonna go out than are gonna come in because we're expensive here. I mean, we get a lot of our referrals up and down the state. I mean, it's either from the San Francisco area or the Thousand Oaks area or the San Diego area or our area, because they're the 4 top expensive places here in California and everybody can afford what they left. But if you're from Arkansas, you're not gonna move out to California because you can't afford it. But nevertheless, there's a 25% referral fee when you send it out. And I think what we don't realize is that people are stumbling into these people's world without even having thought about selling their home yet. Maybe they go on vacation and they visit their grandkids and they pop into a real estate and they see some sign on some pretty house, nearby. And they call that agent and they make, the agent shows it to them and they kind of like them and they make some rapport. And that agent maybe tells them they can afford to buy that house. And they say, well, yeah, but we gotta sell our house in California first. If that agent knows you, they never even told you they were gonna go to Idaho on vacation. They probably didn't even know themselves they actually would justify that move. But again, that's an opportunity if you're on the front and the tip of their mind. I think we talk in this business about growing our social farm. We talk about growing, doing open houses. We talk about geographic farming. We talk about social media. I think this is just one more pillar of having realtors that you can refer to and they can refer back to you. And I think the thing that we gotta really realize is that when and we've all had this happen, this is nothing more depressing than having your client say, oh, I told my coworker to call you, they're gonna buy a house.
Right.
Yeah, their phone number, well, I'm kind of embarrassed to give it. But maybe they'll call you. I dropped their car in their trash can. Maybe they'll find it. Brian. That's the kind of referral you get sometimes. You think, oh my word, really? But a realtor who is going to get a 25% referral fee from you, that gal's going to dog it until kingdom come, until those people call you. She's going to do the nice email letter of introduction. She's going to send them a little note with your business card. Call my friend Karen. I mean, because she's got some skin in the game. So I think building that tower of business is really of value, and it can be done in a variety of different ways, and I think it needs to be done, in my opinion anyway, sequentially and intentionally. So I'm looking in this room, and I hear this is going to be watched by Aviera Real Estate as well. I mean, there's the low-hanging fruit on both companies. Hello. Why not everyone in this room and everybody in Aviera, meet in the middle, but why not come down and meet some of the people on the right team? And why not meet some of the people up at Aviara? Take somebody for coffee. Guess what? Coffee houses are now open. You can sit outside and it's like $4. And it's an opportunity to go up there, make a day of it. Take 3 or 4 people at Aviara out to lunch. Aviara, make a day of it. Come down here and take 3 or 4 people from Ed and Nancy's team down here to lunch. Because that is really where the low-hanging fruit is. You've got 2 companies with people of the same mindset that are in the same economic demographic that can support each other in this process. So you don't have to start all of a sudden finding some realtor in Bend. You just gotta dip into what you already have and make good use of it. I mean, it would make me sad if anybody here didn't go to Aviara with their clients from down here, because their clients are gonna be well taken care of by, I have to believe, anybody out there. Okay. And Aviara, it would make me sad if you had clients that were moving down here to South Orange County and you didn't refer them to somebody in this room, because there's not a dud in the bunch. So again, I think it's just a matter of kind of putting on that thought process and building that referral network, however you decide to build it. The next part of that, the other half of this, is letting our clients know that we have this coterie. Somebody said, what's the word coterie? This group, this gang of realtors that we know and trust. It's one thing to get a referral from Yelp if you want to know if somebody's got good tacos. It's a whole nother thing if you're not going to want a referral from Yelp to find, to handle your biggest purchase. So I think it's just really important that we let our clients know that we've built relationship, that we know these people, that we've had conversation with them. You know how they tick. I'm not just giving you the name off of a roster, but I'm giving you somebody that I've spent some time with. I feel you've come to me all these years and you asked me to be your family realtor. I'm looking for you to have one in the future wherever you go. So I think it is a matter of letting them know that you have that, and bringing that up in conversation anytime, because this whole move thing is really on people's mind. So I put together kind of a 3-month campaign. The only part of the reason that this just really hit me when Angie asked if I would give this presentation, I thought to myself, well, I'm right in the middle of doing it myself, so maybe I'll actually come up with some better ideas since I have to share them with somebody else. So for me, I have a group of realtors. We do a once-a-month Zoom call. I have one in San Diego, myself, North Orange County, Los Angeles by the coast, Torrance in that area, Palos Verdes, a Gallup in Westlake Village, and a guy in Pasadena. And the 6 of us, we get together once a month and we do a Zoom call on whatever topic is relevant. And this has been the relevant topic for the last 3 Zoom calls in July, August, and September. As who's coming to your area? Yeah, they're all leaving in droves. I wonder why. Let's go figure it out. Somebody figure out where people are going. So I figured as long as I was learning it for myself, I would go ahead and pass it along to you as well. So here's my 3-month campaign for whatever it's worth. Yes.
Ask a question real quick.
Sure.
So who at the end?
Oh, questions are at the end. Okay, so write that down. So I started it out in September, and I started it out with a video, like 3 or 4 minute video about why people are leaving California. Nicely though, and nothing like, I didn't want to come across like a California blockbuster, the so-and-sos are moving in, right? But I'm trying to, I think the way I picked and the way I explained it is I'm trying to get a clear understanding of why people are moving so that I can help my clients when they decide to move. So I'm really asking you, my client base, to share with me either why you would move and where you would go, or if you've heard of other people, why they're moving and where they would go, because it will help me in counseling my clients. So I asked them to help me. And then I told them I would give them a $200 bribe if they would participate in my drawing. So all they had to do was email back 2 states that they would consider, or 2 states that friends of theirs like. I mean, I made it pretty darn easy. And then also 2 reasons out of the 10 that people would move. So far I've got 28 people that have responded to my drawing. And then, so that ends next Monday. I'm calling through people that I think may possibly want to make a move and ask them to enter my drawing by just giving me the information over the phone. Then for everybody that entered the drawing, I've been told that I can rub 2 nickels together and make a quarter out of it. You all have laughed about me being cheap over the years. So here's my cheap trick for the rest of you guys. So then I went to AAA because I am a AAA member, and I got they have these beautiful travel books that are like $8 a piece, and you get free when you're a AAA member. And so the 2 states that they wanna go to, wrapped them up in some tin foil, stuck some fluffy stuff in there, put a little note in there, and all my note says is you may not be ready to move now, but it's always fun to dream and take a vacation.
How cute.
So again, it was unoffensive, it wasn't,
Love it.
you wanna move, you wanna move, you wanna move, I need to sell, I need a paycheck, I need a paycheck, it didn't come across like that at all. So I did that, and then I'm following up, with postcards, large postcards in, in October and in November that basically, kind of spell out maybe 5 reasons people are looking to move. Do any of those apply to you? Give me a call, I can consult, we can put together a 1 to 5 year plan, etc. So that's kind of that's what I'm doing over the next couple of months, and I figured since I was doing it, I would share it with everybody else. So I think I would be open for questions now, unless I missed something on my PowerPoint.
Go back to the other one.
Okay.
It was awesome.